and it's part of the books too that he has these flashes, but it pulled me out of the story a little bit, out of the moments, and I thought, that dragged it down a little for me. But I get why it was there.
Because they could have done the narration overlay like they did way back when, I guess.
Right.
I don't know how they should have done it better necessarily. I just know it felt a little jarring in the flow of the movie. If you know,
I think it was supposed to though,
Yeah.
because it was
How do you
jarring
think
for
Paul
him to
felt?
experience.
That's fair, but from watching the movie, enjoyment wise, watching the movie, it made it less for me, not more.
Well, I was surprised. It wasn't just slow paced. It was Dune was. It limited its dialogue. It shut up for a bit and just let you watch it and experience it. And
yeah,
that's what
the
made
pacing.
that's what made the and I will agree jarring transitions to the visions worked for me, because there was so much just spent watching. To have that taken away was wonderful, because that's exactly I think what the director's saying is it's exactly what you're supposed to experience. It's what Paul's going through.
And Isaac, isn't that his name, right? That played the father of Paul.
Oscar Isaac.
I think his name is Isaac.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
was
he's
good.
such a good. He's so good.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
The
That's
casting.
true.
I know the casting was really on point. I had a little
Tarman.
Yeah.
Flying fat Tarman.
bit. The only one that gave me a little bit of pause and I acknowledged it first thing was Jessica, right? Because she I had a little bit of trouble with her character, and maybe I just don't remember it, but it's to me in the books she was truly a badass, right? And I feel like they watered that down a decent amount here. And the actress, I think they did a good job with the actress, right? But she's literally bred to be a concubine, more or less, right? So she's supposed to be disarmingly smoking hot, right? And I'm not trying to sexualize the character, but she's a concubine. That's the job, right? And so she was very, very pretty, but they still found somebody who looked like a badass, right? Underneath it all. So it was kind of interesting.
I got enough of that when there were the flash forwards with her blue eyes holding a baby. I got enough of that, because I think she does seem like kind of the wilting violet when when her boss is there, right?
Yeah.
But she
I just read that. I just read that scene.
She had enough gumption to disobey her orders in the first place.
Right.
So I think there's by the end of the movie, there's enough characterization of her as the badass to really appreciate.
Jessica was exactly as I imagined her when I read the book, perfectly.
Gotcha.
I would also say I just read that part with the subservient stuff, and I would say she's a little more in the Bene Gesserit's main the old
Reverend
Bene
Mother.
Gesserit, Reverend Mother. She is a little more in her face, stands a little more for the decision she made, but she is largely subservient as it's portrayed in the movie.
It's not the subservience. It was the tears all the time, right? Even when she's delivering quite possibly the most badass line in the entire book series, and very possibly in most of science fiction, right? That fear is the mind killer. She's bawling her eyes out while she's doing it. And I'm not necessarily saying tears are weak, but that is not the impression that I got from the book, right? That line to me is much more stoic, because that's the point of the line and the delivery, is that, I shall not fear. Fear is the mind killer. And she's absolutely fucking terrified while she's delivering it, which again, maybe it fits the thing, but it's not the impression I got from the book. So I was in a dude who was so faithful to the adaptation. That was one of the few things that, kind of pulled me out of it, where I was wait a minute. And I forget what it is, but they're on the run, and some of the stuff in the ornithopter, she starts breaking down again, and maybe when they're gonna crash or whatever. And it was like center yourself, let's figure this out. But
I know we're supposed to talk about Constantine, and I'll just say Cody is wrong, and he should feel bad. But that chopper scene with the he's deaf thing, I just love that little for a second I was why is that relevant? Oh shit, the voice, right? Yeah, big brain.
Right. No, but thanks for coming. That was while we weren't recording. That was our episode on Dune. So catch us in 2 weeks.
On Dune next time. I want to watch this movie
Not
again.
next time.
Dude, I was
definitely
gonna
watching
watch
it
it
again.
tomorrow, but it's not happening. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, we've got until like November 22nd on HBO if you were watching it legit. So apparently it got leaked early, so you didn't hear that from me. But
I went to the movies. I think it was like 3 weeks ago or something.
Nice.
I watched it
because
at
it was
home.
supposed to come out the first, right?
Yeah, I'm never going to a movie theater again. I don't think, because the ability to watch it at home is just too superior.
Well, I don't have HBO Max at all here. We have HBO Nordic. We don't have the same options. But in terms of, I don't know why, because I don't think HBO's invested into the platform here and offer their services in the same way. But on Disney Plus, at least, I would have to gather quite a bit of friends for it to make it. Like, it's like more expensive than the movie ticket to buy the movies early on Disney Plus, for example.
Oh yeah, like $20. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, certainly if you're looking at it like by yourself, right? You know, for like a family, it comes out about equal. But we did that. We got conned into that exactly once. I think we did it for Black Widow because the way that we had kind of understood it was like you're buying like the pass and then you get the upcoming movies, not an upcoming movie, right? And so we're like, who the fuck is paying $30 per movie for this? You know? So but
yeah.
Anyway.
My
Great.
wife does the
8-10 for me, and it sounds like you guys are up there as well. We should talk about it next time and more. Like we didn't talk it to death now.
All right. I mean, due to timeliness, but next time was a holiday. It lines up, man.
Even if you don't like reading the book Dune, go watch the movie Dune 2021. Not the one with Patrick Stewart. Watch the one with, the guy from Little Women. Dune 2021 by the Arrival guy. Even if you don't like the book, I don't like the book, but I love this movie. Phenomenal.
The book was weirdly not fun to read, and I don't quite understand why. Like the entire time I was reading it, it's like I don't understand if I'm enjoying this or not. I guess I'll finish it.
It's very dry in a way, a la Lord of the Rings, I would say, in its writing style. And I really do not like the jumping from head to head to head to head. Like in the same.
Yeah, that could have been done better, I think.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I have read third-person omniscient books, and it was seamless and it was fine, and I loved it. And actually made me really support omniscient style, but it was rough in Dune, and I don't know why.
I'm still gonna finish it, and I might read the rest. I don't know.
I am forcibly pulling us back to the topic of Constantine.
Speaking of terrible movies, so
speaking of movies less good than Dune 2021.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, that's
kind of like I have to give it that.
Yeah, it's really hard to get like an apples to apples comparison anywhere, but
very different movies.
I'll let you have it.
Right, but am I the one dying on the hill? Is Constantine perfect?
It was your movie.
No, it's your wife's movie, Justin.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah,
I agree with her, but it's still...
So, like, where I come down to be the voice of discontent or dissension, right? Because it always helps further when we've got an argument. I love me some Constantine, right? Like, it's way up there for a lot of reasons, but I can also see the flaws. So, to me, it is not a perfect movie, but it is a great movie. But again, like, what makes it great and what people have problems with and stuff like that, like, I don't necessarily, jive with all of it, right? So like one of the things that occurred to me, like just to throw a jab so we can get some stuff started, right? Keanu Reeves is awesome. Rachel Weisz is awesome. Their performances were not awesome.
Right.
Okay. I think Keanu was a little bit. Rachel was the female lead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not vibe with her character or her acting in that movie.
It's all very dry, and it might be because they were going for more of a darker tone and a noir style or something like that. But like even some of their wry humor is just kind of like flat, Right. And like reading through some of the trivia and stuff like that, like they loved making it, they loved the movie, and like none of that like came through on the back end. But like watching the movie, it's like watching a Nicolas Cage movie. I'm gonna say it, all right. Like you're getting Nicolas Cage level humor. You're getting like You know, I mean, and one of my favorite lines, like rehearing it, is like when they come out of the like tabernacle or wherever the fuck they were, where they were talking to the priest, and he met up with um, Gabriel the first time. Yeah, sorry, I had a different angel on my mind for some reason. But it's raining, and he's like, at least it's nice out, right? You know, and so it's like, I love that humor and I love that sass, but that was like the whole movie, right? You know, it's just like that tone, the whole movie.
Yeah, I think the character, I was only exposed to the character in the comics through the Sandman comics, pretty much, and also the Books of Magic, which also was by Neil Gaiman. The character was originally, apparently, the concept of the character was an excuse to get Sting in a comic book with Swamp Thing. Right. Literally, no, yeah. So it's like literally in the Swamp Thing comics, Alan Moore was trying to get just Sting in there. So it looks like Sting, talks like Sting, kind of like the world weary bloke kind of guy. I almost before I read the thing on Wikipedia about it, I actually associated with like Spike from Buffy, right? Of course, we're all familiar with James Marsters. Anyway, right. But yeah, so if it's not going for that at all. I didn't go into Constantine expecting that. I knew it was Keanu Reeves. I'm glad they didn't try to make him do an English accent, right?
Right. Bleach blonde his hair. Like,
have you seen Dracula? Have you seen Dracula? Right. So I think with, or at least clips from it, I think with this movie, it's really trying to be the kind of even-tempered, not over the top, with among the human actors, while also being completely crazy over the top with all the effects and the concepts and the ideas. So I wonder if that was like deliberate, but I don't think that part of it worked for me at all. I'm with Justin on this one.
I would have loved to have seen.
I wasn't worried about comics either.
No,
I wasn't worried about comics either.
It's sufficiently different, and I don't have like enough of a background to compare it directly. Sure. If that makes you feel better, right? Like, I'm not arguing with you there. It's not like if it's not like watching the Dresden Files movie where it's like, you motherfuckers, man, like I'm gonna storm out or something, right? Because if they tried to squeeze a book into 2 hours, like there's just no way. Or whatever,
I think it could be like if you look at it like if you do a Dresden Files movie but remove all the humor. And that's kind of what the stakes are like in a lot of the books, right? Yeah. If it's just this superhero exorcist movie, is what it's going for. Right. But unlike superhero movies, it's not the emotional over the top. It's basically the anti-superhero exorcist movie. And given that, I think a lot of my complaints are not at the movie making level.
Right. I mean, so I agree with you, like in broad strokes, but like rewatching it again, like he's an anti-hero in the sense of like, he's not your conventional hero, right? Like, he's kind of more of a Batman, right? Where he's like, he's not coming at you with truth, justice, and the American way. He's not necessarily doing it, like entirely out of the goodness of his heart or whatever like that, right? But he's very much a good guy, and he very much knows better, right? And that's some of the dialogue, like the subtlety of his conversations with Gabriel, especially like early on. Like, he went to hell and came back and said, fuck those guys. Like, the good guys aren't good either, but definitely fuck the bad guys, right? And so like his entire life mission is to try and buy his way back into heaven, because he does not want to go back to hell, and he's going to do everything he can to make it hell for the demons, like, so yeah, like, he's brutal, he's sassy, he's sarcastic, he's none of the traits that you would want to see in a paladin or Superman, but he's no less on a crusade just because he doesn't fit the traditional mold, right? He's still very much like will do anything he can to stop the bad guys, right? And so like that's kind of a thing. Like, I don't know, like, I mean, I guess there are some places where you could argue like he'd make the sacrifice for the greater good, like sacrifice somebody else for the greater good, right? Which is, again, something more like a Batman or an anti-hero type would do rather than Superman, right? Superman's like, oh, you've got to pick between your girlfriend and the bus of orphans. And Superman's like, why? I could just save both, right? Like that kind of thing. Constantine's still a dude at the end of the day. But what pisses him off is like he didn't sacrifice anybody per se. He fucking like all of his friends got taken out. And then it became personal, like even more personal, right? So I don't know. Like it's a fun story, but like, you know, at the end of the day, like he's an antihero because his attitude is fuck everybody else, including the angels, because they're not squeaky clean like you think that they should be. But definitely fuck hell and the devil on his way to the bank and wherever else, you know, like it just, I don't know. But to me, like the good parts of the movie, so to like focus on something else that's good, I really dug the fact that they got into some of the, you know, the mythology and the occult of like the reliquaries and stuff like that, and that they found clever uses for it. Like I had forgotten about the brass knuckles until he whipped those out for Balthazar. That's fucking amazing. And like from some of the trivia they were talking about, like, oh, it's gold melted down from Pope the fuck yous, you know, the 17th, you know, whatever. I don't give a shit. It's blessed gold with crosses on it, and he beats the fuck out of a demon. Like that's hilarious to me. And it was just like a great way to use the magic system, for lack of a better word, like the world building that didn't involve a lecture, right? You know, that you were able to see that when he spends 5 minutes crafting the holy shotgun, which is just a ridiculous concept to say out loud. But when you see it actually like, you know, in use and you know, how they basically soften them up with the holy water and shit like that, you know, it's just all of that to me, that's part of what makes it a great movie, right? Like you can argue about the acting, we can quibble about the morality that's presented and whether or not they nailed all of the religion, you know, the scripture right on the head or anything like that. But, you know, the stuff that really brings it up is how he moves through the world mechanically, you know, using an executioner's chair to get to specific points in hell, you know, having near-death experiences so that he can go back there and scout the place out, the holy shotgun and all of his relics. He fucking burns part of the Shroud of Moses to banish like 20 demons, you know, just cause. You know, those are the great parts of the movie to me.
The chair was used for like visions, right? Like to see, I think he gets like kind of where he gets the devil is coming, the sun is coming, he has the thing, he's coming here, he gets like that fed to him for some reason.
Yeah,
I like the idea of the chair.
Right.
I really liked the. Let's see some of the notes I had. I loved the beginning there with they did some great show don't tell, like I wrote down. With the, you know, he finds the spear and you just see the effects of it and stuff. And there's no like it's not like it's explained really. You just see it and then this is how it works. You are immortal.
I think there was a bit of talking backstory, though, in the form of Constantine talking about his childhood. They tried to show it as well,
sure.
But especially coming off Dune, I don't think that my experience was this, exposition time. I was kind of looking at my watch. It didn't. I don't think that was that on the grand scope. That's a bit of a quibble. I'll admit that, but I think there was some exposition dumped there.
Yes, there was exposition and just having to explain his story as he was telling it. But it was a relatively short time, and I think they did a pretty decent job of showing as much as they could while telling it. Like when he was a teenager and he says parents was trying to help, and so they did what all parents would do. They made it worse.
Right.
And that line has stayed in my head. It was just like, yeah, they're trying to help, and that's not good. But then showing that as he was like dead in the ambulance, and then that hellscape just kind of sweeps over. Immediately you get it, but he still has to spell it out that he's a suicide. But like, that's how he knows everything is true. Yeah.
It's also great because you get that backstory after he argues with Gabriel. And so like for people who might not have seen the movie, he's arguing with Gabriel.
Why are you watching it then?
Well, yeah, there's that. But just in case, I mean, it's a 15-year-old movie, so 16, whatever. But anyway, so he's arguing with Gabriel, right? And he's like, you know, he had just gotten diagnosed with lung cancer, and he knows he's got like 6 months to a year to live or whatever. And so he goes and he talks to her, and she's an angel, basically. Like she's supposedly a half-breed, but you know,
I didn't get the half-breed thing.
Well, it's the idea that like only the half-breeds can actually touch down, supposedly, and they're the only ones that can talk to mortals, right? So, like,
But
by the rules in the
Gabriel's not
movie,
half-breed.
yes, by the rules of the movie, she's supposed to be a half-breed. However, she is one of like 4 named angels in the Bible, right? So, well, and I say she, but because Tilda, you know, but anyway, it's purposefully androgynous as well, right? So. It's questionable, but anyway, so they're arguing, and he's like, well, what the fuck do I got to do to get into heaven? And she's like, well, you know, faith and sacrifice, but you can't have faith because you know, and you're not exactly the guy to make a sacrifice, right? And shit, I lost the other half of my thing. So
when she says you're fucked because
you're going to hell because of the life you took. That was the line, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're like, oh my God, did he kill somebody? And then you get the backstory. And yeah, the person he killed was himself. Thou shalt not murder, even yourself. And that's why, like, murder is a mortal sin and you go straight to hell no matter what, including suicide, right? And so they don't necessarily out and out say it, but like all the pieces are there to draw that through the narrative, you know? So
one thing that gets me there is, they even have this in the movie. You just repent. You have absolution. And then you're fine.
Yeah.
And then you're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine. Okay.
Right.
You're fine. It's not a you're trapped forever. You're fine now.
But he'll never repent because he knows, he doesn't believe, he doesn't have the faith. He can't. He cannot figure out how to go through that thing.
Faith.
So
I don't know.
That's the problem with both sides, though, right? So you've got both things. He can't ask for absolution truly because he knows better, right? And so it would be hollow, so it wouldn't work. But he can make a sacrifice play even though you know that it's self-serving, and because, like, again, one of the best parts of the movie, right? But you can't apply the standard equally to both outs, right?
Yeah. Well,
and that's why I always had a problem with stuff like Nicodemus and stuff like your villains asking for redemption so that your paladins and whoever else can't do anything about it, right? Is because, like, so from like, I'm sorry, a little bit too Dresden, because it's a common ground, right? Like, I could get into different anecdotes, but nobody would understand them. So, like, with Dresden's case, right, Nicodemus plays at asking for redemption, and Michael has to give it to him because Michael is a person and he doesn't know. Sure. But the fact that the fucking sword stopped working is what I have a problem with, right? The goddamn angel knows. The fucking archangel knows, and God Almighty fucking knows that he's making a play for it. So how they can be duped by, like, oh no, I've asked for forgiveness.
The sword is still a tool of Michael. If we're going to get down that path.
It's an angel. There's an angel in the blade, so it's wielded by Michael, but there is literally an angel in the blade.
A tool for Michael, and so Michael's the only one who can use it, and therefore, if Michael is limited, therefore it doesn't work in those circumstances. It is limited.
But the thing is,
it wouldn't work if it weren't limited. If it weren't limited through Michael, it wouldn't work at all, according to Dresdenverse, because Dresdenverse says the more powerful you are, the more limited you are. The only reason it does work is because it's used through Michael, and so
it's
that's
Murphy.
the way it works at all, or Murphy.
Right. Yeah, I know. I'm still using, but like he does the same thing to Michael at one point, right? Like somebody does. Like they ask for forgiveness, so or it's Cassius, right?
Cassius.
Cassius does the same thing where it's like, oh, my mercy, and it's like, well, they can't do anything about it, but me and Jose Canseco can do something about it.
There are at least 2 other theological plot holes in Constantine, and one is related to this. Like, God's all powerful. He's not limited, even if you want to make the case that confession specifically doesn't work in that circumstance. God's all powerful. He can make up a particular way for Constantine, right? Which presumably, and according to the movie, he did. But by the what's stated in the movie has to be erroneous based on how there's the whole angelic vision and he's flipping them off and all that. At the very end, when Constantine does die, right, doing the sacrifice play.
So which part? I'm not quite.
Well, what I'm saying is Constantine. What the characters are saying can't be right based on what happens in the movie.
Okay.
In terms of, there's no way for him to go to heaven. There's no way for him to repent because he knows. There's no way for him to get absolution because he knows. Well, clearly,
but he doesn't. Right?
Yeah.
He doesn't. He doesn't repent. He doesn't get absolution. He makes the sacrifice.
Well, there's the way you explain is God's not limited to the sacraments. Done. I mean, it's kind of anyway, I think the other thing is if there's a balance, if there's some kind of truce between two equal sides, God and the devil, which really I don't really think is
that does not match most theology, right? So
not even just that, but like even according to the movie, there's still God's son on earth. Right. And if there's supposed to be balance, you can't do the opposite. So clearly it's not balance, even in the universe. Their theology doesn't work within their own universe.
And you're pulling that from your article that you shared, right? Where they think, kind of bring up that point too, where it's like they're supposed to be balanced and they can't get on, and the son of God and the son of the devil are literally their sons, right? So they are metaphysically more powerful than the angels and demons and whatever.
I think,
so
curiously, I think the story understood what was happening better than the writers of the story did in this case.
Right.
Because by the end, there is the sacrifice, but Constantine does get, everything he needs and wants, and he, as the article pointed out, he switches to Nicorette.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which I always thought that was
a nice little, nice. It's a nice little visual thing. It's fine. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
I think the article I shared made a bit too much of that. I think that is a recognizable thing everyone would acknowledge, and that's character change.
Right. Well, and that, I mean, I guess that is kind of the implication at the end, is that, he finds his loophole to get out of being damned, and now he's actually going to start making the good choices because, again, he knows better, right?
Well, I think also I think that what the good part of the movie, which I do appreciate, is I think the movie is better when you look at it through the lens of these characters are just despairing and they think they can't change, but then they can, and they do, and then move on with your life, and things are good now.
Right.
So I think at least the main two leads, ignoring the trail of bodies left in the wake. But,
right. Well, because now that we're talking about it, like the other part that thinks about it is like the cop, she's screwed. She knows she's going to hell because she's murdered all those bad guys, even though she was for some reason given these psychic powers, and that's why she knows where they were all the time.
Half-breeds, right?
No.
But
she
like got people.
She
and
kills murderers.
Yeah.
I thought she. Like that. She knows if they will shoot, and so she shoots them. So it is self-defense, right?
Yeah,
well, is that a loophole? I don't remember that being in the Bible.
Murder.
Yeah. Thou shalt not kill unless it's self-defense. Like I remember that as one of the 10 Commandments. So
I don't know. Kill meaning murder, and depends what you.
I know. There isn't hardly a church on the planet that isn't going to say self-defense is a loophole or whatever, but I'm saying, what is the law state? What is the text state? So, and we'll never know because like the original commandments were broken in a fit of rage, right? So who knows? But anyway, so let's not get too much into the theology because I'm going to be way more sarcastic and dry about that. But
I would say far too harking back to Nicodemus you mentioned earlier, right? The first time I saw Balthasar, I was just you know that meme with "Mom, can I have?" X, and then we have X at home. And like, Mom, can I have Nicodemus? No, we have Nicodemus at home, and it's Balthasar.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so Balthasar would be a great pick, and I was thinking that too. But so would Stormare, right? Like, come on, like he's one of my favorite villains, like of all time, and you get him for like 2 minutes, or whatever. You get him for such a small amount of time, but he's so creepy and he's so wrong and he's so petulant and he's just so everything that you should probably expect from Lucy from the devil, showing up and stuff. So even he's just shooting the shit with John because it's like we got all the time, like literally all the time, including forever and never time. And so they're just shooting the shit. Oh, here, let me light you up, but I'm still going to be a dick about it because I'm the devil, right? And then it's like, so what's been going on? Well, you know how your kid, like we heard he's a chip off the old block. Well, you got to do what you can do. And yeah, did you know he's in the other room? He's in the other room, and he's just being sassy. And then he's like, no, I didn't. Damn it. Why do you know and I don't? I'm the guy who knows. You could just see it play across his face, right? So then he stops time and goes in the next room and kicks in Angel's ass, because Daddy doesn't have your back anymore, which is another great line. Like just that whole thing. And honestly, in my opinion, the whole climax, from the moment they get to the hospital all the way to the end, is great to me, so yeah.
I had been looking at the buzz around the movie and people saying, oh, this devil is so great. He's played by such a great actor. I was like, really? Okay. Because I didn't see what the guy looked like. Like, huh. And I looked at his credits without seeing his pictures. Like, Minority Report. I love that movie. I just saw that movie. What was it? What? I know it's not the guy with the organ or anything. And then I saw him, I was like, oh, the creepy Dr. Eye guy who makes you eat rotten food. What a great choice.
He's like the most well-known like tertiary character in every movie, right? Because like one of the ones that gets me every time is Armageddon.
Yeah.
Because he's there for like 2 minutes and he's fucking amazing and he almost steals the whole movie except that he's there for 2 minutes. And just like he's just the crazy Russian on the Mir space station that is refilling them because it's a Michael Bay movie, right?
Don't think too hard about that one.
So yeah, like there's a lot of things that it's like, let's just not worry about this. We're going to include it for realism, even though that doesn't make sense either. But the whole Russian American, all made in Taiwan. I want to go home, you stupid machine. You know.
You ever watched Evel Knievel? I've never seen Star Wars.
Right. And that's a role out of like dozens where he's like this.
Big Lebowski, he's really good in.
I don't remember him.
He's the nihilist. He's the leader of the nihilists.
Yeah, there you go. Oh man.
He's in John Wick too, where he says so. It's also so funny. Like he's really charismatic. It's like if you've seen him in interviews, I've seen him where he talks about he gets interviewed about when he got started in Hollywood and accents and they were just like, okay, so you're from Europe. So okay, we need you to do it like a Russian or Czechoslovakian accent or something. Sure. And he talks about how, these movie executives, they don't know accents. I just did something like that. And they were like, this is great. I love it. Because I'm from Europe, so I know every accent.
Yeah, that's funny. That's awesome. Slight pivot, but out of a place of love. So, Cody, I'm calling you out, as usual, right? Because he says everybody was great in this movie except for Shia.
This is Cody in the chat, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
I gotta say,
beloved patron.
Yes, I gotta say, even Shia LaBeouf is not bad in this movie. Okay,
he is exactly what he needed to be. He is the typecast character he had been.
Yeah, like I literally wrote it down in my notes. Like, is early Shia just the same guy in every movie? Because he's literally Transformer Shia, Constantine Shia, Disturbia Shia, same fucking Shia.
Indiana Jones
but
Shia?
It's not bad. Yeah, also same Shia. But it's not bad. I don't think he plays that character well, right?
Fight me.
Well,
and I don't agree with that.
Did you see the post credits?
Yeah. Did you go back and rewatch it?
Wait, he's a bitch. Shy surprise.
Yeah. It's literally cannibal Shia LaBeouf. I mean, seriously, no.
Which adds so much context to the movie. Like, the whole movie, Constantine is convinced God doesn't have his back. He totally does. He got Shia right there. And for some reason, didn't realize that Shia was a whatever. I don't even know what a half.
No, I don't. Was an angel. No. I think he gets promoted. I think he dies and then he gets promoted.
He was a person. He died.
Yeah. And to me, it's to restore balance. Gabriel fell, so they had an opening. So they promote him because in the moment Gabriel was falling and he was transcending being a sidekick to being a hero.
Okay.
And talk about a sacrifice play. He literally helps stop the apocalypse by stopping Mammon.
He's not supposed to be the favorite side character. He's supposed to be exactly what he is, which is an annoying kid that's trying to get into the bar and can't.
And you guys
are
like
him.
I'm not sure I've seen Disturbia, or at least not recently enough to pull from it. I don't think he's the same in like Transformers and Indiana Jones, but he's absolutely the same kid in iRobot, just with less fake swearing.
Oh
right?
Fuck, he was in that.
Yes.
That was such a dumb movie.
He got the job because Will Smith said, "I liked working with this kid. You were the director. Hire him." That's why he's in fucking Constantine. So, but all of that aside, like, he's annoying, he's petulant, he's the kind of sidekick you would need for Constantine, at least movie Constantine. But his whole thing towards the end, where he's like trying to lecture the old guys on like, well, all we need is this kind of cross and blah blah blah, and they're all looking at him, and he's like, why sit on the bench if you're not ready to play? Like, come on, what other Shia character is like useful like
Take him
that?
with you, kill him after.
Right. It's a great moment. So
But he's supposed to be the annoying sidekick. He's not supposed
Yeah.
to be this lovable one.
And he's
at
not
all.
the annoying sidekick in Transformers.
Sure. Or he's the annoying main character, I think, right?
Yeah,
That's how
right.
it goes.
He's the sidekick to the Transformers.
Yeah.
No, I think the sidekick.
He's
I
the
think
sidekick to the Transformers.
he would be like the mascot, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. You're not wrong. I wish the movies would portray that better, but I mean, I barely paid attention to the second one, and I was literally locked on a plane for 11 hours, and I didn't pay attention to the second one. It's been way too long since the first one. Like, I gave up on that whole series. Like, just no. So
No, thank you.
I almost came back for like Dark Side of the Moon or whatever the hell it was called. Dark of the Moon, is that what it was? Because they didn't want to be too Pink Floyd, but I almost came back because the imagery was really compelling for that. But then I was like, but it's a Transformers movie. Do I really want to, Michael Bay, Shia LaBeouf? Okay.
So another person who was absolutely fantastic in this movie that I adore very much is Tilda Swinton. As we talked a little bit about Gabriel, but I adore her in almost everything I've ever seen. I can't think of anything I haven't enjoyed seeing her in, and I usually just want more of her, and especially with her character of Gabriel. She has the poise when she is being even psychotically insane, as he calls her out at the end.
Right.
But she's philosophizing of all of the good things of people happen when bad things are happening. So I will bring you the bad so you can be as good as you could possibly be.
Yeah.
And she just says it in such a gentle, knowledgeable way. Yeah.
You small, helpless child, let me explain the universe to you. Well, that and
very charismatic. Good
that and her trying to goad him in the worst possible goading, right? But at the end,
would you like revenge?
Yeah, right. Hey, if you kill me, I'm an innocent. I've been a human for 30 seconds. I've committed no sins, so I'll go straight back to heaven. Please kill me. And then, even
look how good you're doing.
Exactly.
That's
called mercy.
When that's pain thing, that was so good.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, get used to it.
One thing that was just I felt even for this it's pretty dark, pretty gritty, but a lot of over the top things happen in the movie. I think it kind of pulled me out. I don't know if it was too much in we're gonna talk about this movie. I'm just gonna and stuff was the outfit in the end on Gabriel with the medical bracelets up the arm. What the why is this, what's this fashion statement for?
I don't know what the purpose of it was, but it is very weird, and I guess the purpose is weird.
Yeah, it just didn't make any sense.
The costume
angel in a proper suit before was just all over medical bracelets. These are gonna look cool, and the angel just puts them on.
Yeah, maybe their accolades, maybe their
souvenirs,
from other murders or something she's helped with. I don't know. I say the costume designer was told bracers, and she said bracelets, and that's all they had on hand. So they just okay.
I don't. As good an explanation as any, truly.
Yeah, but. Pivoting, but talking about the characters, one of the things that I liked about the movie in general was this isn't an origin story, and they don't go you get the origin story in a sense, but you don't get the training montage or how did we get here or anything like that. Yes,
he used to be John Constantine.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and he's already banished thousands of demons and whatever, and these fuckers still think they're gonna try him. So
I really love they were coming. It's really cool. We're coming in at the end. We can also kind of see how the guy who's running the bar that used to work together, B-Man, that used to be the heroes and go out. And how they're just all kind of just they're gritty and they're washed up and they're tired and they just don't want to deal with this shit anymore, any of them. And it was really great. And there's we're basically we're getting a little dialogue hint towards this, but mostly it's just shown that they're just these they're badasses, and they're some of them retired badasses.
Right. Yeah, Papa Midnight was the character's name. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah, and he was fun doing whatever he does. He's just whether he's sitting there quietly and smoking and like lecturing, or he's yelling. It's like, you dare in my house. It's great.
Yeah.
In my house.
Yeah.
And Papa Midnight, by the way, is another comic book character. So that is a character from the comics.
Right.
Usually from Hellblazer, which is the comic on which
I love
Constantine is featured.
Isn't he one of the ones that crosses over very well with a lot of the other DC stuff too? Because like if you're not aware of the comics, right? Like it is based in DC, and they actually, like, in the last decade or so, they brought him into a lot of like the cartoons and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get some really cool crossover with him and Zatanna, and I forget the dude who like turns into a demon or whatever, like Mr. Jekyll.
Oh no,
Dr. Hyde stuff.
No. Oh, is it Etrigan? Etrigan.
Yeah. So you get some fun crossover stuff with that, and I think there are a couple of episodes where like they deal with Papa Midnight, or at least somebody of his caliber, where it's like they're running a nightclub and whatever. But so it's kind of fun. He's not quite Mac, right? And though he tries to keep to his oath of neutrality and whatever, but it's like, you're the only one still playing by the rules. Another great way to call him out, but.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I do think the speaking of the comic books and the crossover stuff there, they did try to start a TV show, but it was very short lived.
mm-hmm.
But that guy was actually like really, really good, I would say. I think they used him again. And
they rolled him into the League of Superheroes or whatever the fuck, right?
The whole DC unit, when they had the whole get all the timelines together thing, there's like a big event. They had him in there. He's also voicing the cartoon. I think he's like a very good
nice.
Constantine.
That's cool that they're reusing him. I like when I catch like the voice actors, when they're being consistent or whatever, right? Like, finally realizing, like this is a little bit far afield, but like the, cartoon Iron Man and like Lego Iron Man and stuff like that, like they reuse the same actor. Like obviously you've got Mark Hamill gets, he's the Joker, but he's also like, there's a bunch of other minor roles that he, well, I say minor, but whatever. There's other roles that he does as well, where he's like almost consistently always going to be that guy when he shows up. So that's cool that they reuse the actor for that. It's
amazing how much the MCU has set up the voices, personas of these characters now. Like in the animated show that was released on Disney Plus, the guy who's doing Iron Man there sounds kind of like Robert Downey, but you can tell it's jarring. It's not. You can tell it's not him.
Right.
Which was
like Uncanny Valley,
yeah,
where it's like you're so close and yet I can tell it's different. Yeah. So. Oh. I'm going through my notes for other little nuggets, and some of these curse my stream of consciousness notes, right, Andreas? But I came across one where it was like, good thing they didn't wash the windows. And I'm like, what? But like when they go and investigate the sister's room, and it's like, oh, she left me messages in light and breath. And I was like, it's a great moment. But then I realized, like, this is a dead woman's room. They absolutely would have scrubbed the shit out of this, including the windows. But okay.
She opened the window and wrote it on the outside.
And backwards.
The breath wouldn't have worked.
So that,
backwards,
Good point, too. Yeah. So.
Actually, doesn't it make sense? If she opened the window, if it opened inside, she wrote on it, then closed it would be backwards. Right. And was it backwards in the movie? I don't actually remember now. Like,
no, it was very legible.
Okay, yeah.
And then he fucks it up by like underlining Corinthians or whatever it was.
Yeah,
so,
Corinthians 17:1, because there is no 17th act in Corinthians. I think it ends at 16, which is the point. But
which is really, really like it. First Corinthians ends with like, and blessings all of you, and then it just goes straight into what?
No. The point is that hell has its Bible, and they wrote it from hell's perspective with extra chapters and used the same book names for some reason. So
for some reason,
I get that. I get that. There's this duality, right? They're set up in the whole movie of of hell and heaven, and how even when you go to hell and go to heaven, how it's like hell is post-apocalyptic Earth, and you see like heaven in the background. It's like the same city, but in the clouds.
Yeah, it's between, right? It's the between verse.
L.A. Yeah, the L.A. in between. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Constantine is a great wizard. I wrote that down. That's true. hates answering questions.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought maybe you could point me in the right direction. Yeah, the door's that way.
Right. Yeah. Until he realizes, oh shit, she's gonna get eaten.
Yeah.
Like,
She's important somehow. Something big happening.
Right.
Yeah, I enjoyed that he's an asshole, and I thought that Keanu Reeves nailed it enough, in my opinion, because he didn't need to emote much when you're playing an asshole who refuses to answer questions.
yeah.
So, I don't know. I never had a problem with his performance, and I never overthought much about Rachel Weisz's performance. I just okay, I went with it.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I mean,
also,
compared to the
pacing-wise,
Mummy, could have been
sure,
better.
yes.
That's all I'm saying. Like,
she's so much better in the. I didn't even recognize there's the same actor.
yeah,
or actress.
even Black Widow, right, where she's playing mom there, she's definitely the cold, calculated badass, because she's an old assassin and dispassionate scientist, right? But she still has moments where like she connects as a person, or whatever. But I don't know. I like some of the most emotion that I feel like, chemistry wise, even between them, is the parts where they like almost set up the kiss scene, which she talks about a little bit in like interviews and stuff, where it's like, maybe this is it, maybe they were going to do a kiss scene and then they don't. And so like you see these things where it's like they have those really long stares that usually precipitate, that kind of scene, like even at the end, even past everything else. And she just looks at him with those big doe eyes. And then he's like, yeah, sorry, I'm trying to grab something behind you, so,
Yeah.
which I think is hilarious.
At the end, she looks so awkward because he's reaching behind her, and she's like, I thought you were going to kiss me. Never mind.
Right. Yeah. So.
Very real awkwardness felt right there.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's... Thinking about it now, I'm like, it's almost like a Dresden and Molly situation, right? Because she's probably younger than him, right? Even though well, I don't know, because don't they talk about she's got like a 20-year career or whatever, like or maybe it's 20 people she's shot or something like that. But that number comes up somewhere. But she's so the kid out of the two of them, right? In a sense. And so he's probably like, Jesus, I'm old enough to be your dad or your grandpa, and she's all trying to like make a move or something. But I don't know.
That's a bit weird to stretch it that way. Like, they're both clearly adults somewhere in their 30s, and therefore they probably don't give a shit. She doesn't know what's going on, sure, but that's
right.
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I get this. I would say that, like,
she's clearly in the half+7 is what you're saying. So, fair game. Okay.
Yeah. She's like in her 30s. I don't know how old Constantine is here.
Right.
But
he's 27. It's just that he smoked 30 cigarettes a day since he was 15. So,
he did do that?
Yeah. That will age you very quickly.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, it's reminding me of an old joke. It's like, interviewing this very old person. I'm like, what's your secret to life? Well, I drink whiskey and smoke every day. Oh my God, how old are you? Like, I'm 28. So anyway. Go ahead.
I was just kind of saying, like, I know this movie isn't like perfect, but I can't see it as anything but perfect because I love it too much. Like, yes, it's not Dune, as we said at the beginning, but it's just like there isn't a moment in it that I don't enjoy, and that's really what I need to call it perfect. It's like I enjoy every minute of it, like the lead up or even the explanation, the exposition, and like all of it is something that's really exciting to me, and I love how they blended their occultish stuff with things that I kind of recognize. Although, I have to point out they could have done more of the world building of like what was going on with certain things, why. They just kind of showed, well, something's happening and you're going to get the important bits. Yeah, but I am curious, what was the guy doing with the eyes and the newspapers, and then he caught the Isabel thing. But it's like, what exactly was he doing with the newspapers? I'd love to know more. What exactly is the amulet that was so important, and why was it helpful?
Yeah, he was psychic. I mean, Cody might know more about it if he's familiar with the.
Bad take.
Yeah, that's funny. He says he'd happily rewatch it before Dune. So, I think they're great for different things. So, But anyway, yeah, like the amulet was for protection, right? So it's almost like he was afflicted, like, you know, there was a demon or something, you know, imposing this on him. But
It's like
you know,
he can't control that the psychic power he has.
Yeah,
Like just
and
Right.
so
it's like it's a nerve, right? That's like exposed.
you get the important bits of like it helps protect him against the fact that he's so sensitive that all of those other whispers that he's hearing can bother him. And so when he got too much of the attention when he was investigating with Isabel, that's why the guy ran into the alcohol store, liquor store, and then he just started downing it because that would also deaden it. If he's unconscious, he can't be affected and it can help him feel safe. But unfortunately for him, Balthazar was there and he drowned himself.
Right. Well, and he even talks about it after the first exorcism, where it was like he drinks because it, you know, it keeps the voices out or whatever. Like not even necessarily being unconscious per se, but it was such a great, you know, manipulation, right, in the moment where it's like from the outside he was succeeding, right? He was drinking like a madman, right? And you know, basically Bull from The Expanse, got to get that plug in there.
Mm-hmm.
So Bull basically
that
comes
dude
in.
Is
it's like
as a cop in every setting,
right? He talk about a humorless guy, right? Whatever. Because like I saw him and I was like, holy shit, I know this guy. So I had to go like look at his IMDb, and I was like, oh, that's not the guy that I expected because it's 16 years ago and he's a little thinner in The Expanse and a little older, obviously. But yeah, so anyway, but he talks about how he drank like an entire liquor store in like 2 minutes or whatever, because it's like you watch him do it, but it's filmed from dude's perspective. So the alcohol's just not coming out until he puts it on the shelf and then it pours out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just such a great film scene in my opinion. You know, so, but yeah.
Just another point that Cody made in the chat was that he never once made a shield or freeze anyone and cast any spells. Really, I don't really agree with that. He definitely uses magic and casts spells. Just in the movie visually, spells don't really do much visually, but they have an effect. Like an exorcism, that's a spell. I would say, and the thing he does with the arms together, that's a spell.
Yeah, the arms cool. Tattoos are. I like the utility of never having been able to lose something that's so important as that.
Right. Yeah, and it's such a great scene in the movie too, because like whatever the fuck this is just killed my backup, and we're fighting hell. So I'm assuming it's a demon. So he's like, get in here, get in the light, you motherfucker. And he's just like summoning them. And then Gabriel's like, okay, enough of the charade, right? Like, because he's using the wrong kinds of power against her, but it almost works anyways, right? Like you kind of get the impression it's about to work and she just kind of gives up anyway. But yeah, that whole thing. And I love the tattoo, right? And it's a little like it harkened back to me. Like I know this precedes, but it harkened back to the Supernatural, right, where they get their protective tattoos and whatever else. But I liked this better just because it wasn't like, you know, I don't know, it doesn't hit the same with Supernatural, right? You know, but you do see like he's got several of these things going on, and you know he's got his amulets and whatever else that, you know, all affect as well. But
I'm not reaching Cody. I just don't agree with you. Ritual magic is still magic,
right? Like. If I can't do it, it's magic, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, or if it's a ritual, that's fine. Like if he's making his circles or whatever, but
it's still magic.
Like you could argue that the thing with the mirror in the beginning wasn't magic, right? Because he was basically just duping the demon, right? Which I thought was super fucking cool. Mm-hmm. You know, because it's basically like nobody look because it's going to try to get out, it's going to try to get elsewhere, and you want it to get in the mirror. You know, and so like that was such a great bit of mechanics that didn't necessarily like involve any kind of magic. You could argue like stuff about the reliquaries and the amulets or whatever you want to call them, like his holy symbols in the beginning. You like those aren't necessarily magic. Trying to remember, like there were a couple of times where he had to switch gears too, was like some of the fun of it. He didn't always instantly know the best solution for the problem, right? So like the main scene that's crystallized for me is that opening exorcism where he's holding the amulets up to the sun to see which one gets the reaction. You know, it contrasts very nicely with the Mummy, where you've got Benny, who's got all the amulets, and he's just praying to whichever god gets a reaction before he finally settles on Egyptian, right? But it's a nice kind of contrast with that,
because it was the language of the slaves.
Yeah. You're right, Hebrew. Sorry. But I'm trying to remember. There was like another one where he was like speaking a language or something, and like it didn't work, so he like switched gears. So anyway, it was like those kinds of moments where it's like he's clearly an expert, and he often got it right in the first try, or at least knew something that would be effective enough to buy him some time. But he also did have to like work through a list sometimes, you know, or like, oh yeah, shit, you reacted to this but not that, so you're this kind of demon, you know. So but
move the car. Why? Move the damn car.
Right? And then he moves it 3 feet because he's petulant and an asshole, just like
it's Chaz being an asshole or being petulant, but it's also Constantine never explaining anything. Right. Ever.
Yeah, you said move the car, not I'm going to drop a 500-pound mirror on the car.
Yeah.
You know? So
I noticed this time watching that the name of the taxi thing that he was using was Angel City taxi delivery. It's like I know it was supposed to be set in London or whatever, England, because they're English, whatever. But there's just thematic benefits to putting it in Los Angeles, because they're more Catholicism, I would say, and then just like there is going to be the Virgin Mary thing right when the demons are about to attack you on the street, or Angel City taxi drivers. It's thematically, I really liked how that played. And maybe it would have been great in England, but it would have been different, and it would have been a different thing. It's like I have no problem thinking this movie on its own, not tying into any of the comics that I don't know about. They are separate things to me, and if I know how the other comics and stories go, it would just drag this down as it being a bad adaptation. But I don't care. It's just they're fun.
Should have done it in Boston with the Catholicism. Oh, like that's very Catholic, right?
Well, it's one of those, like, this could easily be in my top 10 or top 5 movies or shows that should not have been named what it was, right? If you had changed the name, if you had renamed the characters, which again is still like the laziest form of writing in my opinion, and yet still out of reach for so many people in Hollywood, right? Like one of the other ones that comes to mind is like Stargate Universe, right? If you had just rebranded it a little bit, right? You could still use the word ancients, or you could still use angels and demons. The guy, he could be John Blonstantine. I don't know. Fucking rename the fucker, and it would have been fantastic because it wouldn't have carried all the baggage, right? Or if you, it just, I don't know, man. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, we should do a prequel, or we should do an adaptation, or we should do whatever. But we're only going to use the themes from it. We're not actually going to make too many references to the comic books, or we're not going to make too many references to the original. Then fucking rename it. Okay? Yeah. Like, you do that for, like, not like historical fiction. I mean, sometimes too, but like based on a true story, right? Sometimes the characters get renamed. Why the fuck can't you do that for fiction? It's so low-hanging fruit.
Bit of it is that they want to draw in that crowd,
right? Yeah, it's because it's a money grab,
yeah. Right? But
then they're like, "Why are the fans so mad? This is so weird."
Yeah, it is a problem, and if it would be better if they did just rename it, but they would have to do more marketing work. Well, maybe that's enough of a problem because marketing is the thing that sinks a lot of movies. Yeah. Maybe they should revamp how they do that instead of ruining something beloved. Because there's a lot of things that, like, if you just had disattached it from the whatever franchise you're trying to catch in on, it would have been fantastic, and yet you're not.
I also think, like, to Cody, what Cody says, if it was called anything else, he would have liked it. And I think there's something people who go in to see adaptations probably need to, like, the movie is never better than the book or the source material. There's more time there to build world, to have and love these characters. That the movie in 2 hours is never going to represent that well enough.
I'm sorry, what were you saying about Dune in the beginning?
I say the Dune is a very good movie.
And are you
As it
saying
al-
that the book
I
is
said
better?
almost never. I think the Dune. I have not finished the book, so I'm only this far, so I cannot say.
Okay.
But this is
Well, the
a
other three
harder book
people
to read.
here basically said things of they loved the movie and the book was not enjoyable to read, even if they liked the story. So it's like I'll be very interested in seeing what you'll say about Dune as an example when you finish the book.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there must be some things where the adaptation is better, but it's rare, right?
Well, and I think I think we'll agree with the principle, but I think it's like limited to things like The Godfather, right? Where it's one of the greatest movies of all time. It's kind of a schlocky book, that sort of thing. I think Dune might be on that list now that we have a good adaptation. But I definitely agree that it's very rare.
Yeah. My point more being that, like, where he says if it had been if it was anything else, he would have liked it. I try to judge the adaptations separately of the source material. Usually, I enjoy the Harry Potter movies, but if I were to compare them to the books I read growing up that I loved and read like 20 times, they don't hold up at all. But the movies are okay; they're pretty good movies, but not if I compare them to the books. It's a place where I would say I like the adaptation more than I like the books. Is Lord of the Rings. I could read those once, and I don't think I'm going to read them again. But the movies are great, and I've seen them loads of times.
Yeah. I don't know. I love this movie. So, Cody, you're wrong.
I would say if I were to give it like a scale on a 1 to 10, where 5 is average movie expectation. Also, there was like 6.5. Constantine's a good movie.
What's an average movie?
What's an average movie? Most of the Fast and Furious movies like average to 5. They're fun.
That isn't a good average.
That's a fun watch. No, you get what you expect. They're a fun watch. They don't go above. They don't surprise you in any way. The stories are not particularly interesting or unique, but they're good. They're a fun watch. They're an average. I didn't feel like I wasted my time, but I didn't feel like I got something exceptional or above average. Like we start generally say we start at 5 with any movie, and then I start going down or up or anything or book. I start at 5, and then we go up and down depending on how good it is.
I don't know. I would start based on my experience with the director or the property or something, and I usually start with expectations and manage them from there.
Yeah, it is kind of like I don't go into something of like I don't generally go into something not knowing much. I know like at least who, and that has promise to it. But I don't know. Average movies seem hard to label because I would disagree that the Fast and Furious movies are average. They seem worse than that.
Oh,
it depends. It also depends on like if it's something that interests you, right? Like, like Goodfellas, right? We talked about that. Like, I think Goodfellas is a great movie. It is not necessarily something that I enjoyed because of the subject matter, right? Like, so
the reason why I think if you also say like because the Fast and Furious are not objectively really profound, deep, meaningful. But I mean, the acting is good. The cinematography and all of them are pretty good. The pacing and the stories in them are pretty good. But it's nothing special. But they're
it's
good.
a story
they're good
about
watch.
family. How could you say that?
I think the point of a Fast and Furious movie is well done stunts and choreography, and kind of I don't know. I think it doesn't take itself seriously, and I think there's a fun in just letting go. That's what I take a Fast and Furious movie to be about. And if
so
you want
not
one,
the
I'd say
family,
start.
though.
Well, and it does legitimately say family, like that's legitimately a thing. And so I'm fine with that. I mean, it's trying to be wholesome, and it's this movie with explosions and like booty shots, which is ridiculous.
Right. I see another movie here that's actually in the perfect movie list that I would say is definitely a 5 for me. I like the movie, but it's just an average movie, and that's like Van Helsing.
love that movie.
Sorry, which Van Helsing are we talking about?
I'm guessing it's the Hugh Jackman one. That's the one I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Okay, just making sure. So it.
It's the same as the
I
Mummy.
must say it. No, I must say it. Hugh Jackman's Van Helsing is a worse Constantine. There, got it. So,
Agree.
it's been a while since I've watched it, so I'm gonna need to go rewatch it. But I remember, like, even though it should be awesome, and some of these other things, it wasn't nearly Dracula enough, and it wasn't nearly enough Van Helsing Monster Hunter to where it just kind of like there wasn't enough. And I mean, I love Hugh Jackman, and I love hunting monsters, and I love
the brother turns into a werewolf. There's 3 vampire bride chicks hanging upside down so their boobs dangle, and then there's Dracula being over dramatic, and then there's Benny is Igor, and Faramir is this monk that's running around of like he just desperately wants to get laid. I love that.
I mean, so yes, if we're gonna say that Van Helsing should have been directed by like Monty Python, right? If we're gonna say it's a Monty Python movie, then fine. But but like as it was delivered and like as it pretends to be, dang. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, but, I'm gonna stop fighting with Cody now because otherwise we'll never end the show.
You can fight him in Discord. That's a great thing. He pays for the abuse. I mean, attention, whatever. So, different words for different things.
Well, what are we discussing in 2 weeks? Because we had on the calendar V for Vendetta, but I'm wondering if that's changing.
Oh man, I really want to do that.
V for Vendetta isn't the perfect movie. I'll tell you right now.
Dune.
It is a perfect movie.
No, it fucking is not.
To me, it's one of my perfect movies. Van Helsing's a perfect movie for you, but I would say it's a 5. That's what's fun about this show.
That we disagree on the colors.
Dune 2020. How about we could do? We could do Dune 2021 and Dune 1984 to compare them.
Ooh, Jesus!
I mean, I can have read the book, watched the old Dune movie, and I've watched the new one. I can even rewatch it. I could do that by that time, but I really wanted to do V for Vendetta right up to the 5th of November.
I know, right?
Oh,
that's the thing. It's like a holiday. It's like we're not going to watch Die Hard for a Christmas movie because of whatever new bullshit came out. Like, I want to talk about the new bullshit, but it's a holiday.
I think I would love to do the Dune thing. Can we do? And that's actually not a perfect movie. We should like Dune the discussion or whatever. We can do that Can we do that in a month? Like in.
Right.
The next.
I was going to say
that's fine. That's fine.
It's still going to be on HBO through the 22nd, so that'll give us enough space to watch the 1984 if we can find it and we're inclined.
I didn't realize the 5th of November connection. But by the way, there's a bit of continuity then between this week and next time. Alan Moore created both characters.
Ben. That's really good trivia. Alan Moore created the characters. I have an important question.
Yes.
Did you forget about the 5th of November? Because it's the fucking poem, my dude.
I understand. Remember the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason, and plot. Yeah. The great hero is.
You didn't realize it was the 5th of November next episode, I guess. Probably.
I didn't know. I heard that. But I'm adding there's additional continuity. Yes. It's an Alan Moore month, I guess.
Yes, that is quite the nerdy connection you found. So good job. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good job, Ben.
I mean, yeah. Okay. Less impressive than our mastery of linear time, but good job. So.
Anyways, so.
Okay. Guess we have a plan for the next month or so.
Isn't that great?
It's a very unusual feeling. This isn't normal.
Especially for like the last 6 months or so.
Yeah, because usually it's like, oh my God, what are we doing? You have to figure out a topic up to 10 minutes before we're recording, and then we are bullshitting anyway. So we don't have much topics in preparation.
At least the movies we pick 2 weeks in advance, so we got time to watch the movies. But it's usually like after the episode, like, oh God, what are we doing next time? So
right.
Okay, we have plans. Check them out. Stay on tuned.